I am a friar of the Order of Ecumenical Franciscans. I'm a Grey Friar, which are the urban inner city education types. I teach at a high poverty school with all kinds of intersectionalities and diversities. I am a priest of the Ecumenical Catholic Communion, not Roman Catholic, let me tell you. I'm mostly trans. I said XTM. I was born intersex. I was born with one of a number of differences of sex development. And we don't come out exactly cis male or exactly cis female biologically. And I got modified and shipped into one gender, and it turned out that didn't work terribly well, so I shipped me back. So I consider myself intersex and trans, and right now the trans are the folks who are under fire, so let's just let that flag fly. And from that, I want to bring you to a text that we usually blame on Ben Franklin, but the truth is it was around for a century and a half before him. We must all hang together, or we shall all hang separately. That's the situation we're in right now. It's timely and it's accurate. I also came into this place and realized that I needed to reference the praying hands they've got up on each side of the stage. I nearly said altar, you can tell my theological background. So, you may want to actually at some point read the story behind that particular piece of art and why Albrecht Dürer made that piece of art. I'll leave that for your discovery later. So this is my first time on Fox Island, and let alone at Fox Island UCC, a place that's choosing to identify itself for extravagant welcome, reached by a bridge. Which is actually kind of a good metaphor, right? That bridge looms pretty large in the minds and lives of each of your, 4,000 residents? Got your own boat. Something happens psychologically when you cross that bridge either direction, right? Here's your spoiler alert. The whole point of living is to become that bridge. Okay? All right. Now that bridge is the welcome to this island, right? It's how the vast majority of people see the island. Yeah, some people do actually use their boats. But most people, they drive across that causeway and over that water to find your island. And I'm realizing that I actually need to get a demographics check here. So how many people live on the island? Okay, how many live on the peninsula? How many people came from Tactown or somewhere else? Mainland. Okay, that gives me an idea of our demographics. Now, we all have different roles to play in normal society, especially in a time of crisis. And we have different perspectives. Fox actually takes 2 bridges to get to, right? If you think about it, the way that I just said it, you've got the island, the peninsula, and then you've got the mainland, right? Yeah, 2 steps removed from all the bustle and the trouble. That's Tacoma, that's Seattle, that's our urban areas. Now, it's easier sometimes to ignore need the more bridges you have between you and it, right? And I pulled up a crime map, and you'll probably be able to guess the number per capita of crimes go down from Tacoma to Kitsap to Fox Island. Anybody surprised? No. In fact, there actually wasn't a single dot on the island. But that piece is not something to be ashamed of. It's something to leverage. It's something baked deep into this Fox Island identity, I think. First town was Sylvan. The whole name speaks to me of kind of a quiet forest refuge. And you know, I'm down for that. I'm a Franciscan. St. Francis would literally go hide in a cave for 2 months at a shot. Go retreat. And I know what a blessing a quiet retreat is. In fact, I'm going on one. I'm going to go find a little spot that's on a slightly less expensive island for a day and a night to just kind of breathe. And then I go back to the work the world needs me to do. Just like Francis did. The trick is sometimes it's hard to know the work that the world needs you to do. Do you? Do you have an inkling of it? That's also one of the big things in our life. To work out what work it is that's your work. What life it is that's your life. What truth it is that you need to live. So I need another demographic check here. How many here have a trans loved one? Okay. Trans partner? Trans self? Thanks, fam. Then we have the people who chose to come without skin in the game. And actually, at this point, the LGBT folks also don't have the level of skin in the game that we do right now. You're also in a situation of deciding whether you're going to be our allies or accomplices. It's that raw right now. And I hope that you'll be an accomplice, a fellow traveler, because the way that we really know our allies is if they're close enough to us to catch some of the stones being thrown at us. And I like the conspirator word, the accomplice word, because there's something a little subversive in standing for grace and love in a world that's all about the next dollar and the next point on some ladder. As our musician pointed out, the Jesus that I think of is a heck of a lot different than the puppet of the Christian nationalists. Conspirators must hang together, or we shall all hang separately. And yeah, even out here, even 2 bridges away, society comes right in, doesn't it? Safety from society is kind of an illusion. So how do we T's survive this time? And how do the rest of you help us? It looks like it's 2 different jobs, but that's also kind of an illusion. Because the more you support our authenticity, the more you find your own authenticity. And again, that's the point of living. The more space you make for the rest of us, the more space you make for yourself. Because when you get down to it, hopefully you will each have the opportunity to realize that what harms some harms all. And I hope that you reach that point, because the corollary is what benefits all benefits each. We are all in this together. So first, do more of what you've done. You chose to host this event. You chose to welcome trans voices in. That takes some guts, and it's worth some praise. Thank you. And actually what we need to do is not self-censor. Not go quiet, not go compliant. Get louder and more loving. I'm a follower of a rebellious rabble-rousing Reve. From the not good side, from Galilee. No good comes out of Galilee, let me tell you, those Galileans, man. Okay? That's my thing. Don't self-censor, don't self-cage, don't self-subject to a regime that desperately wants authoritarian rule. Don't do the work for them, that's actually what they count on. You do enough loud, scary things and people get quiet and careful. And then you don't have to exert yourself to get them to comply. Don't fall for this. This is a head game and a gut game and a heart game. Recognize it. Stand together. This government wants authoritarianism. This religious establishment wants a Christian nationalism. And a society that wants to cling tightly to a fading, pale patriarchy. And then I actually want you to go further than that. I want you to live your true self and your true values. And of course you're not sure what those are. You're going to spend the rest of your life figuring those out. Objects in your inner self are sometimes closer than they appear, and sometimes farther away. Okay? That mirror, I'm telling you, it tells you things. Self-discovery comes in trying and searching for what's real. And we trans folk are good at that. We have done a heck of a lot of wrestling to figure out who we are, and we have paid a high price for it. We know that our authenticity is worth every tear and every pain and every rock and every unhoused night, every unsafe moment that has allowed us to be ourselves. In my house right now is an evacuee, an internally displaced person in the United States of America, who stayed at Underground Railroad situation stations to get to me. She has spent the last 2 weeks sleeping and eating. She's only starting to talk now. This is the country we are in. She fled incognito. She has paid a huge price to be herself. Thing is, it's worth it. Every day spent as the real you, as the full you, as the actualized you, is worth more than I can express. And the other truth is, every single one of us has stifled who we are. For some of us, it's slightly more obvious. But every single one of us has. And in doing so, we have dimmed our own light. So maybe you ought to get to know a trans person who might help you figure out who you are. Might encourage you to free yourself. To be you, visibly, proudly you. And again, spoiler alert, be prepared to grow in your understanding of you. It's going to change. Because the deeper you go in truth, that's what happens. But I'm really confident from the brief conversation I've had with your pastor that she knows that, because this happens in spiritual truths too. Your walk changes. Your path changes. I've been a Franciscan for a long minute, and that's still changing on me. I rewrite my rule every year. So be prepared to grow in you-ness. in your uniqueness, your authenticity, and to meet mystery, to meet love incarnate there, in those challenging times, in those growth points. That's exactly where you meet God. And then do what you are. Write, fund, march, speak, shelter, clothe, feed, heal. And not just yourself, but everyone else within your reach. What we can do in our corner of the world will have ripples on other places. And it works like that. And do so fully and joyfully. Those of you who know us trans folks, we've been talking a lot about trans joyous resistance. You gotta carry the light. You gotta help us carry the light. Frankly, you gotta protect us while we're carrying the light. And the evacuees can use some money. There's a lot of different ways you can help. Our elected officials need to know we're watching. They need your letters, they need your calls. There are lots of things you can do. And I promise you, the more authentic you get about you, the more you're going to find your life worth living. And here's the last charge I want to give you. Be here next year. You're going to see, I actually don't know if we're going to give causes of death. A lot of them are external. A lot of them look internal. But I can assure you, the suicide rate of a hugely marginalized, vilified, and bullied population is an externally applied wound. So it goes right back to being that light for yourself and each other, to be here next year. And we'll further say that I'm going to hang around after to listen, to pray, to bless, to anoint anyone. Because the only deity I know is a God who identified themselves as male, female, and multiple. A Christ who, if you're going to be literalist, had only X chromosomes. Think about that one for a minute. I call him because he identified male. Tell that to the literalists and watch them work that out. And his spirit, who brooded over the waters, and is the comforter of souls and the breath of life. That's how I understand the love incarnate that I serve. And it bears no resemblance to this white patriarch with a stick in a hell. So know that there's a whiteness out there to love and inclusion and be part of it. I beg you.